Okay, we're going to look at adding and subtracting integers. Now, what are integers? Integers are whole numbers. They can be positive, they can be negative, or they could be 0. I have a method that I have found is quite useful to work out how to add and subtract integers. It goes through this order here. So we say to ourselves, and I'll explain by way of an example in a minute, where do I start? Which way do I move? How far do I move? And then where do I end up? So this example here, we've got -3, we are adding +2. Where do I start? This is where we start. So on our number line, we start here at -3. Which way do I move? This determines which way do we move. When we are adding a positive or subtracting a negative, we move to the right. So adding a positive and subtracting a negative. If we are adding a negative or subtracting a positive, we move to the left. So let's go back to our example. We've established we start at -3. Which way do we move? We're adding a positive, so we move to the right. So start at -3, move to the right. This number here tells us how far to move. We move 2 places to the right. So we start at -3, we're moving to the right. How far do we move? We move 2 places, and the answer is where we end up at -1. Let's look at our second example. -3 add -2. So where do we start? We start at -3. Which way do we move? We move to the left because we're adding a negative. How far do we move? We move 2 to the left. So starting at -3, moving 2 to the left, we end up at -5. 2 more examples. I have to quickly draw the number line for these as well. So -7 subtract +1. I'll just quickly draw my number line here. So 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, we might need to extend it, -8. This is +1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's our sum. Where do we start? We start at -7. So we're going to start here. Which way do we move? We're subtracting a positive, so we move, subtracting a positive, to the left. And how far do we move? We move 1 to the left. So -7, moving 1 to the left, we end up at -8. Let's look at our next one. -2 subtract -3. Where do I start? I start at -2. Which way do I move? I'm subtracting a negative, so I move to the right. And how far do I move? I move 3 to the right. So -2, moving 3 to the right, we end up at +1. So I must say I do like this method to work out when we're adding and subtracting our integers.